Welcome to another episode of For Azeroth. I am one of your hosts, Lex, and I am here with the wonderful Manny. Manny, how are you doing today? How's the World of Warcraft treating you?
I'm doing okay. World of Warcraft has suddenly changed for me. We are at the end of Alpha Phase 5. I was playing through that. I was getting really into testing, and now Alpha servers are down. Raiding has concluded for the season, so I've just been trying to do some things to collect some mounts, but that doesn't require as much time, and so I'm kind of glad for it. There's been so much nonstop WoW that I just haven't had time to do catch up or play other games, because believe it or not, guys, I like playing other games. And so I'm both sad and glad for this time. I don't know. What about you, Lex? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I'm in a very similar boat because we just got AOTC this last week. I knew it. I told you guys it was coming. So we're AOTC'd up. Obviously, I've been playing Alpha, but I don't really have a ton that I do after AOTC. That's kind of when we hit, we do achievement runs, we do a couple little management things, but by and large, that's kind of my season ender. So given that we're looking at probably at least a few months before midnight, I'm going to be in a little bit of a holding pattern for a while. But you guys are not going to believe who else is here in the studio with us today. So in case he has some thoughts he would like to share, Sean, how are you and how's the World of Warcraft treating you?
Alex, I'm doing great. It's we're November now, so we're deep into cozy season. Anybody who's watching this on YouTube sees that I am wrapped in a poncho, wrapped in a blanket, and wearing some lovely slippers.
And drinking a little tea.
And I'm drinking a tea, a lemon ginger tea, yeah. Or lemon ginger if you want to be fancy. It's Warcraft's been treating me good. I don't really have anything new to report. Everything's pretty much status quo. But there was a slew of news that came out this week that I've been really excited to talk to you guys about. So mostly Warcraft's been treating me with an uplift in hype, and something that I asked for last episode, we got. So I'm really excited to talk about that.
Very excited. Let's jump right into the hype. Sean, do you want to bring us into our first story tonight?
Yeah, for sure. No. Can Manny do this one and I do the next one?
Yeah. Let's Manny. Do you want to bring us into our first
Just
story?
pushing back. Lex finally gets the reign, and Sean's like, no, backhand.
Yeah. Well, she chose your story for me to deliver.
All right. So, story that just broke today is BlizzCon 2026 tickets are going on sale November 7th. So probably by the time you're listening to my voice, this episode will come out tomorrow. So Friday, November 7th, we will be getting advanced tickets that are going to go on sale for $249.99 US, but that's all inclusive. Nothing additional there. They've increased the number of passes you can get. Like in previous years, you've only been able to get 2 per account. Now you can get up to 4, which is good. So I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are gathered around quickly hitting refresh when these go live to try and get their tickets. And so less of you will need to actually get in to get tickets for the group, which is really good. But if you don't get in for that early bird special, there will be more tickets coming up. That's going to come on Tuesday, November 18th. And those ones will have an additional $40, so that's going to be basically $290 US. And you might be saying, hey, Manny, that's not that much of an up cost from the last time when they were like $275. Well, friends, that's because they're going to get you with the add-ons. They have put in, if you so happen to not like having anything in your wallet, well, you can throw $500 and do the charity night add-on. Now, this used to be $750, but if you do the math, you're spending $750 because you have to get the base ticket. So that's unchanged. That will allow you to have a nice little charity dinner. The full $500 from that is going to go to Make-A-Wish, which is really awesome. And if you perhaps feel that's too rich for your blood, or perhaps you're like, I've got more money to throw at Blizzard, well, they also have the Dark Moon Fair add-on, which is going to be an additional $90 onto your ticket, and that'll give you access to a 3-hour event that's happening on the Saturday, that's September the 12th, that is going to include also 20 fair tokens and collectible credentials, which I don't know what that means. They threw it in there and there was little explanation. But yeah, if you're chasing after stuff, I guess there's going to be special stuff for you there.
Will say I'm really happy about the Dark Moon Fair add-on. Not for myself. Neither of you guys were at BlizzCon last year, right? I'm not making that up.
Rub it in, Lex. Oh. Rub it in.
Yeah.
Nobody was
so
at
as
BlizzCon
the resident BlizzCon expert, Dark Moon Fair was rough last time. Like, one of my guildies wanted to. The fire marshal apparently came in once and told them they had to clear the line. One of my guildies wanted to go into Darkmoon Fair to get some things for his kids, like just like cute little like, oh, hey, dad came home and he has some presents for you. When I tell you, I don't think I spoke to this man the entire BlizzCon. Like, he was waiting in this line almost the whole time. And like, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit because again, the fire marshal cleared the line, so like they had to start over. So it was like, cons are always kind of line bosses, but it was absurd. Like, it was winding back like multiple rooms. It was terrible. So I'm really happy for this. So that people who really want to get to Darkmoon Fair for a reason have a reason, like they have a thing they can do and guarantee they're going to get in. And also hopefully to make it so the line is less absurd during the just normal event, because people are like, oh, whatever. Like, I got my Darkmoon Fair ticket. I can just pop right in.
Yeah. So one thing that is missing from this year that was in previous years, Lex, you may have remembered, they had a portal pass. Their little premium, their first little dip into premium, and that's no longer here. So it looks like it is basically general admission, but there is special perks if you do go to the beneficiary dinner. You have reserve seatings at the opening ceremony and at some panels. So in a way, it's sort of been put into the charity night pass there. And I'm assuming that everybody else is just going to be dealing with like the general admission, which, you know what, like slightly raises the value of the general admission. As soon as you start putting in like fast lanes and fast passes or portal passes, you're basically saying, hey, pony up more money or you're going to get to or you're going to be pushed to the back of the line.
Might have had biased sources for this, but I was under the impression that last BlizzCon portal pass was kind of underutilized. And I heard mixed reviews as to whether or not people felt it was hugely beneficial. I do know some people did feel it was really, they were really happy they got it. And other people were kind of like, I go into an empty room where there's nothing. Great, I have portal pass. So I didn't have it because I'm broke. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, it is honestly based on like what they organize. Like if there's a lot of things that you really want to get to, then yeah, that portal pass is going to help. If you are focused on one thing, like let's say you are just into Warcraft Rumble, that portal pass isn't going to do much for you in that sort of situation. So, you know, mileage is based on what they're doing and what you are interested in. And along the lines of what they're doing, we got a rough outline for the event. So, of course, there will be the opening ceremony. There are also going to be dev stages, including a special separate classic stage. Now, that's not to say that that is classic Warcraft, but more along the lines of classic games. They do have the Blizzard Arcade that's returning, which is going to have a lot of those classic games in there and demos there. But for the currently supported games, they will have playable demos for that. And they listed them off, of course. They've got WoW, they've got Diablo 4, they've got Overwatch, they've got Hearthstone, they've got Diablo Immortal. Yeah, I just utterly skipped past Rumble on that, and they did too, because Rumble is no longer a supported game. And the fact that they did not put in the Heroes of the Storm, because some people keep seeing those updates for Heroes of the Storm being like, maybe it's coming back. I'm gonna start doubting it if they don't even put it in like BlizzCon announcements. But maybe they're being smart and they're saying like, hey, we don't want to say anything right now.
It is. There was an announcement. There's a Hero of the Storms tournament happening
Yes,
at
but that's
BlizzCon.
part of their classic games because they're doing Warcraft 3 Reforged tournaments, Heroes of the Storm. So it's just part of games that we're not actually supporting right now. So I did see that, but that's not the same.
I don't know. It's getting its own tournament.
Sure, so it's Warcraft 3. I'm seriously not going to consider Warcraft 3 a currently supported game.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Aren't they actually working on a Warcraft 3 remake?
No, they did a Warcraft 3 remake. The slight
But I
news
thought they were
was that
updating that.
if you have Warcraft 3, the original, like I could go find my collector's edition somewhere around. If you have that and you haven't upgraded to their reforged version, the window is closing. I think it's December 11th. Don't quote me on that because it's not in the notes. If you don't upgrade at that point, they're no longer going to honor your original purchase. And if you want to play Warcraft 3 Reforged, you'll have to buy it at full sticker price.
Aren't they doing a Warcraft 3 reforged? I remember that coming out during the 20th anniversary. I'm certain I remember them mentioning that they were updating Warcraft 3 Reforged to input some of the things that weren't there at launch that were supposed to be. I'm positive they said that at the 20th anniversary event.
I'm pretty sure that was like a balance thing to be like, hey, you know what? We know that this game fell short of expectations and we're going to get that stuff that we really should have put in, but I don't believe that's further support.
Okay, we'll look at it after. There's no point in talking about it now. This isn't a Warcraft 3
Yeah,
Reforged
it's all speculation
show.
and it's not something we're talking about.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm happy for is the esports that are going to be at BlizzCon. I think like when you're actually sitting there and you're in the crowd and they have that like entire stadium, it's hype. It is genuinely hype. Things that I wouldn't normally pay attention to, I would actually watch at the stadium at a live event. So for that, we've got the AWC that's going to be there. We've got the MDI, and then they have other games that they're doing, like the Overwatch World Cup, which, talking about stuff that I was like, didn't that end? That was one where I was like, oh, I guess that's still going. And then, of course, tournaments for the stuff that we were just talking about. So there's a lot of things there. If they had if you wanted to go watch one of those matches and you could use a portal pass there, that would be amazing. I'd love to sit closer to ringside with a portal pass with that.
It's really curious that there's an MDI event because as of last season, the head-to-head speedrunning no longer exists as an MDI format, and now the Great Push is the entire format. So are they just going to have two teams squared up on a stage for 4 hours pushing keys?
As far as they can go?
Yeah, that would be awful. It's not fun to watch at home. There's no way I would watch that at an arena. So I'm hoping it means the return of the speedrunning head-to-head competition. Otherwise, I don't know how you make that a live event and make it entertaining.
I'll say for me
Would be cool as an
personally,
expedition. Sorry, go ahead.
esports at and I know this is probably not a popular opinion, but esports at BlizzCon is what I do when I'm like way too overstimulated to talk to anyone, and I'm like, I'm gonna go watch the Overwatch World Cup, and I'm gonna pay close attention. It gives you a nice like ability to kind of like black out. So I could do that with MDI. They can do it just for me. It can be the space that they're like, it's gonna be pushing keys, and I'm just fully dissociated in the corner.
Yeah, no. If I get to that point, it's step out, maybe go back to the Hilton lobby. You know, that DJ has to do something when the thing isn't crowded. So, you know, but yeah, so that is the setup for BlizzCon 2026. Are you guys excited about it? Start with, well, sorry, I apologize. This is your
True. Are you guys
show.
excited about this? I'm going to start with Sean.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've purchased my flights. I've booked a room at a hotel. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be my first BlizzCon. I was supposed to go in 2023, which was the last BlizzCon, but I can't remember what something happened. Some family thing happened or some life thing happened, and I had to cancel. And I ended up giving my ticket I gave it away to somebody. But nothing will hold me back from this one. September 2026, I'm going to be there. I mean, unless America is literally on fire, I will be at BlizzCon. What are the odds of that?
What are the odds of that? Manny, how about you? How are you feeling about BlizzCon?
I bet higher on the odds. But
The over. Give me the over.
I like, okay, so are we going to talk about the lore of BlizzCon and the Manny curse? Because, like,
Yes.
let's see here. Last BlizzCon, I ended up not going because I fell ill. And that sucked because I had, like, the press pass and everything to go. The first BlizzCon that I tried to go to by the time I got my guild had blown up, and the guild master was calling, saying it was my fault, like I had planned all of that. I know BlizzCon sometimes just does, or like the times that I've tried, has just not worked out for me. But it's such a fun thing, and yeah, I don't want to get political, but you could not pay me to go into the States right now. Anyways, what about you, Lex?
I'm so excited. I had a lot of fun at BlizzCon last time. I'm really excited to be, assuming you guys aren't intending to kick me out in the next year, on a podcast and like making content in a way that I can like do interviews with like I had a lot of fun at the Boston one where I got to go around and talk to people about their first experiences. I want to do something similar to that where I'm having like a nice little community mini episode that's more about like getting the vibes of being in World of Warcraft. I'm excited for all of you guys. I'm very excited to meet you guys. Please, genuinely, if you see me at BlizzCon, come up and say hello. I want to say hello to you. Not even in like a content creator, like I love my fans. Like, no, seriously, when I'm at conventions, the idea of like just chatting with people randomly, like out on the con floor, is like what I'm there for. And nobody does that because that's like weird and invasive. And so I also don't go up to random people and chat with them. But like, if you want to come up to me, come say hi.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that is BlizzCon 2026, and I'm hoping that everybody who's excited for it gets the tickets. Remember, they will go on sale 9 a.m. November 7th. That is in PST time.
And do your little, because remember that we just also did our little time change. So make sure you're double checking your time conversions. Which brings us not at all, but to Sean, do you want to talk about the Unshackled Fury interview?
I would love to. Yeah, I'm not
Great
sure how that segue worked, but I'm with you. Yeah, so Unshackled Fury is another podcast, another Blizzard podcast or Warcraft podcast, and they recently celebrated their 10th anniversary, and they got to celebrate it by interviewing Ian Hazzikostas. And I like to think that I'm good at like picking out when an interview is good and being able to track whether or not it's well done. And this was the best interview in the Warcraft space that I've ever seen, period, across the board. It started off really strong. They started off by like humanizing Ian and reminding everybody that, hey, he is a person and not just the face on thumbnails that some of us seem to think. And then they dove into some stuff and got some really good feedback from him and information from him. Ian was like surprisingly candid and refreshingly open during this interview. And just some of the highlights I wanted to touch on is that one of the things they asked him was what the biggest evolution in the WoW community was since he's joined the team. And he mentioned how prior to like 2016, 2017, you would get really diverse answers whenever you would talk to people at an event, at a con event, on what their personal experience was. But more recently, around that point and from that point forward, it's shifted, and people are less likely to give their own personal reasons or feedback, and it's more parroting of talking points they've heard on videos or from larger content creators. He said that doesn't make the feedback any less valid, but it is definitely much less organic, and it's more homogenous. And a great example he gave was the affix system, how prior to the Dragonflight revamp, everybody said, affixes are bad, or War Within revamp, sorry. Affixes are bad, they're ruining Mythic Plus, these affixes are terrible, fix this. And so they implemented the system they have now where affixes still very much exist for people up to Keystone level 11 inclusive, and then they don't exist afterwards. But so the people above, you would expect to stop saying affixes are bad because they don't exist anymore. But miraculously, when the people at the higher level stopped complaining about affixes, all of the complaints for affixes from the bottom level also disappeared, which is really weird, I think. So he mentioned that was one of the things they asked him flat out about the console thing. And Ian was like, no, if we were bringing Warcraft to consoles, we would want to advertise that. We would definitely be talking about it. We're very much focused on PC right now. We have no plans to come to console. And then the last big point I wanted to highlight before we dive into what you guys thought of the interview is he got into the philosophy behind the pruning. And a really good analogy that I heard actually today on another podcast was that it's Warcraft. If you think of it like in the term of bodybuilding, they have been in the bulk up stage all this time. So yes, they're gaining muscle and they're gaining function, but they're also gaining some fat that they don't need. And so now they're in the cut stage of bodybuilding where they're cutting out some of that stuff. And a great example Ian gave was that they looked at abilities that you typically macro together and then just send on cooldown because you just send it on cooldown. Weapons of Order, for example, from monks, these abilities. And he's like, but they are providing no skill representation and just adding complexity for the sake of complexity. He said, and that's the kind of stuff they wanted to target and pare down on. And I really liked hearing the philosophy from that point of view of like, we don't want to make it simple, but there's these things that you're doing just by mechanic. You know, a weak aura says, press this button every 45 seconds. So you just press that button every 45 seconds and it's not fun or engaging. And that's the kind of stuff they were targeting. This was an amazing interview. If you're listening to us right now and you haven't heard this, when you finish our episode, because you definitely want to listen to the end, because we didn't tease it, but we have information on a Midnight Epic Edition giveaway for you at the end of this episode. So listen to the end of this episode, find out how you can win that, and then go and check out the interview by Berserker. Manny, did you have a chance to listen to this interview?
Yeah, I definitely went through it. A lot of it is stuff where if you're paying attention, like that's just what the community has been. There will always be the microcosms where it's like, hey, it's me and my guild, and like my guild has been saying this, and so like that shapes my opinion. And then there are people who are like on Twitter and they have their like cultivated like feed, and so it's like, hey, everybody's saying this, right? And even in our conversations that we have here, or the replies that we get to episodes, be like, what the hell? Like, those guys are playing a completely different game. Because what? We're not in your bubble? Like, it's very obvious for me sitting here with the two of you because we're playing the same game from different perspectives. It's a lot less obvious for somebody who has their favorite creator and listens to them at the exclusion of everybody else. And so you will have the same thing being told about like, oh yeah, like everybody says that paladins are dead right now and protection paladins are dead right now. And then somebody else will say like, oh, well, no, actually it's not that bad. Like I played it myself and like this is what I think they're doing. And they'll get yelled down because the group consensus, the hive mind, has now agreed that paladins are bad. And it's great to hear it from Ian, and perhaps like the next time we have a conversation, we're like, they're not listening to us. It's like, but are they listening to the community, even if it's not directly listening to us? Does FASDev hear what I say and go, you know what, Manny, I hear what you're saying, but Sean's kind of got a point too, right? Like,
yeah, Manny. Sean
I'm
has
hoping
points.
that day never comes because, like, I've heard some of Sean's points, guys.
Sean has points. And if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, man, I really don't know what the next talking point should be, I would like to suggest that you let Blizzard know that you don't want Steady Flight to be locked behind Pathfinder because, A lot of us like Boomer Flight. Boomer Flight is the way. Zoomer Flight is fine. If you like Zoomer Flight, the dynamic flight, I'm happy for you. It's unlocked for you all the time. But some of us, either because of physical limitations or because it makes them nauseous, do not do well with dynamic flight. And to have our Steady Flight option locked behind Pathfinder makes that really frustrating for us and exclusionary. And I would like for that not to be the case. So if you're looking for a talking point, if you're like flipping through your creators this week and you haven't found a talking point yet that you're like, oh, that's the one I want to echo, I would like to present to you Boomer Flight, not be locked behind Pathfinder. Lex, does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm sure gonna, no spoilers, but make this point again. I do think it's interesting to say that your team is focusing heavily on accessibility and also identify that certain things are accessibility related and also be like, and so we made it hard to get. You'll get it eventually, but like first you could like not have as much fun with the game and not be able to get to all the herbs and like, is that equality? So yeah, I agree with that. And I think what I take out of this is we need to come up with more talking points every episode. Because otherwise, how are they? You know, they need to know that they came from For Azeroth. How Ian's never gonna know. They're gonna have like like complicated, like nuanced takes. Because obviously, none of us have ever said anything lacking in nuance, especially not me. I would never say anything lacking in nuance. And like,
I guarantee FazDev has gone into Ian's office and said, "Hey, I heard this on a podcast, and it was such an unhinged take." Ian was immediately able to recognize that it came from the show.
I feel like it would get a proper filter of like, do I really need to bring this to the head of the entire division?
Yeah.
You know,
won't bring anything from For Azeroth to Ian, because if he ever learns about this podcast, he'll listen to it and he'll be like, "Hey, those guys are mean."
Yeah, unless Ian is FazDev.
Can you imagine? In that case, I feel like we're gonna start hitting a point of like him just like turning out like the opposite of FazDev stuff. Where like every time we say something on the show, they go on, they're like, "We're actually making this forever, idiots. Say you don't believe a word out of my mouth again."
Yep. Anyway, it was great. It was definitely a great interview. I suggest big time checking it out. Give it a listen. Berserker and Jez do a really, really great job. The first 10 minutes are amazing. And there's one point when Berserker, as he's getting into like they go into Ian's backstory and how he went to law school, how he ended up coming to work at Blizzard, what his family thought of it and all that. But at one point he says, we're going to bring up, we're going to humanize you. We're going to remind everybody that you're a human. Ian has this look in his face of just like he's just been staring into the void for so long, and somebody finally reached down a hand to help him, and he just looks like so relieved in that moment. It's a really great interview. Definitely check it out.
Amazing. Well, speaking of things, I'm gonna stop trying to do segues. We're not. That's not my skill as an interview host. We're moving on. Not to put you back on the spot, Sean. Do you want to say a little something to our team?
Yeah, I definitely do. Am I going to do these back to back? It's okay. We're gonna start with a thanks for the patron. So we want to give a special thanks to Shimmers, our new patron at For Azeroth. Shimmers, thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and to all of our other patrons as well. We're so grateful. I've said it before. We're like Tinkerbell. We require your applause to live. So don't worry, Faz will always be free. But if you do enjoy the content we produce, you could consider pledging to our Patreon at patreon.com/FAZ. A great free way to help promote the show is to leave a review on your podcast listener of choice. If you're on Spotify, leave a review, preferably 5 stars. And if it's iPhones as well, you can leave a review, preferably 5 stars. And because those help the show get discovered by more people, and then we can grow the community of Fazians. We're still workshopping it. We're still workshopping.
Fazzers. I do think I like Fazzers.
Set Fazzers to stun.
Set Fazz, exactly.
I like that.
Wait, that actually, it took me a couple seconds to audio process that, and that was actually very witty.
Manny, I can't tell if he's just put a photo of himself and left the screen.
Manny's deeply
Lex goes to like BlizzCon, and she just like, I'm just gonna stare into the void.
Right, that's what's happening right now. We're Manny's Overwatch tournament.
He's fully overstimulated.
A little bit of behind the scenes was that we were saying like, oh man, we've got all this stuff to go over, and are we gonna get through it? It's like, oh, we only got 3 things, and I'm like, yeah, we better get right to it then.
Well, we're cruising. We're down to the last 2. We've only been, it's a 30-minute show so far. Manny, we're on fire.
If anything, I think we need to chat more.
Yeah, that first 15 minutes doesn't count. Oh my goodness. The first 15 minutes doesn't count because Lex was in technical disarray.
Imagine. Do we want, Manny, do you want to take the next one, or would that be feeling like stealing from Sean?
I can cover it unless you want to, Sean.
No, you got it, Manny. I'll give some feedback.
All right, so another interview that we had was again with Ian Hazzikosis and Andy Churchill, not Developer X, that they sat down with DBM and Bigwig's authors to talk about the state of add-ons, the combat timeline, and to find solutions for some pain points that these developers have been having. So there was a lot of detail that was covered by Mythical OS's update. He skipped 1 week just because he felt things were covered in a previous one, but now we're hearing some things that are giving us a lot more information and, in some cases, maybe hope about what add-ons can do. So a big one that I saw was that player spell casts are no longer going to be secret values. That means the spells that you cast, the abilities that you use, and the abilities that your pets use are free for add-ons to know that you've cast. That means that Hekeli can be back in business if he hadn't retired. I think, okay, sorry. I know there was a question about computational. My two co-hosts are shaking their heads now, but to be a little bit more specific about this, it can tell that you've cast a ability, but it cannot tell if that ability has had its cooldown modified. So if you have something that strictly has the same cooldown all the time, so let's say it's Ascension. Ascension goes off and you get it for a period of time and it's back again in 2 minutes. That's great. It will say, hey, you've used Ascension, and then through logic and say in 2 minutes, Ascension's back up. But there are complications because it can't tell if you've used particular resources or if you've gained particular resources. So, again, going with the Shaman one, if you use Ghost Wolves as it stands right now in 11.2, that has a cooldown reduction based on you gaining Maelstrom. And so it won't be able to tell if you've shortened that cooldown and then say it's back up again, right? Which is to say that, yes, Hekeli could work in some respects, but not in others, right? Because
it wouldn't function at all because it can't register procs. It's not able to tell you when to send spells because it doesn't know if the spells are off cooldown.
Right, yeah, so if you get an additional charge.
Or any kind of CDR on them. And I don't know that it can tell how many mobs you're in combat with just that you're in combat. I'm not sure.
Couldn't it read that from the cooldown? You know what? Again, we are not add-on authors. I do not know how much information is coming from the rotational assistant that highlights buttons and knows how much you're in and how much that could be read from the API, because that would obviously be able to inform Hekeli. Again, I don't know.
Yeah. I think, first of all, just the number of classes. For example, Demon Hunter is kind of on and off. I think right now most people are running a talent where I-beam, like every time you use it, the cooldown gets a little bit shorter. So a lot of classes just wouldn't really be able to benefit from it. I mean, if it's reading the cooldown rotation assist, it's just reskinning rotation assist, which, like, fair enough. I would be surprised if this is going to, frankly, when I heard that and then I heard the caveat, I was like, oh, so then what is it? And I guess it's for the big cooldowns, right? It's for the things that are on a very steady timer that don't reset. But I can't, I sort of feel like they hamstrung it so high that, like, what's the point? Like, okay, you gave us something that doesn't, anyway, I don't know. I'm also not a cooldown writer, so I don't know what, or an add-on writer, so I don't know what they can actually do with that.
Yeah. Like, I know the complication of it not being, like, again, it cannot read your, you gaining Maelstrom or a cooldown being reduced because of something like anger management, I believe was the example used, right? So it's definitely imperfect, and I think that is on purpose, as they spoke about with some of the restrictions where they're like, hey, we do want some things to be available, but we don't want it to think for you. And so there's that. The next one is that the add-ons will be able to filter spells in the timeline. Now, this is based off of Blizzard logic. They will have some spells that are minor and some spells that are major.
So they currently have some spells that are minor and some spells that are major. This will allow add-ons to individually go in and turn off explicit, like, I don't want to see any warnings about XYZ. I was a little bit confused in the video about because he was saying this communicates through the server. So you're like, it's sending to server, don't send XYZ. And then I wasn't super clear on what that meant and how that was relevant. He made it sound very important, but I couldn't parse out how. But I do, you will be able to have an add-on say, I do not want to see this specific spell.
Yeah.
Well, I could see it. I could see that being that it's like, hey, here's the tank buster. I am a DPS. I don't need to see this tank buster. And so it'll be like, don't send me anything about this tank buster. Whereas if you're a healer, you're like, hey, no, I do want this because I want to know when my tank needs healing because the tank buster does that, or I need to send it external. But there was a part of the conversation, perhaps I'm confusing it, because apparently I confused the first one. There was a part about like Blizzard putting things to minor abilities.
Yes, 100%.
So he kept saying you couldn't filter abilities from the timeline, and he said that's not entirely true. There is a way to filter, but it's crude, and that crude way to filter it now is by Blizzard's option of filtering out for not the timeline but for warnings. This is the text that appears on the screen: minor, medium, and whatever the 3 levels are of warnings. So it doesn't do individual spells, and it's not role based. It's Blizzard considers this spell minor. So it'll still be in the timeline, but it won't show up in those combat warnings when you use the Blizzard filter that it has now. But DBM and bigwigs will be able to filter. You'll be able to filter by role, and you'll be able to filter individual specific spells, because they'll just build a pack of, hey, here's all the tank spells. We'll just filter all these for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a net positive. If Blizzard's timeline doesn't also include the ability to inherently natively filter by role and by spell, then it becomes obsolete day one. You have to have DBM. You don't have. You very much should have DBM or bigwigs installed if Blizzard doesn't offer the same thing. So net positive for players, potentially kneecapping their own combat timeline before it gets out of the gate.
Okay. They then said that there is no ability renaming. This is specifically to what you were speaking about 2 episodes ago, Sean, where you're like, hey, Dimensius has like void this and void that and whatever, and I don't know which one's the frontal and which one does what, and I'd like it to be renamed to frontal or something along those lines. And this is where Blizzard came down hard and said, no, we're not allowing that. And this, I think I understand Blizzard's logic behind this and why they draw this line. It's something that struck me when you were saying it last time, that you don't know any of the abilities that they're doing. And to your credit, you said it's because they're all named the same thing, and that's like that's a nightmare. But I think the problem is that they're all named the same thing, much like, and so it becomes hard to differentiate. If they had very evocative names, you would know, right, that like Savage Backhand is like the tank buster versus like Pinning Strike being something else, and you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to confuse Savage Backhand and Pinning Strike because they sound so different, right? Even though you would need to learn it by looking at the dungeon journal or experiencing it to know which one was which, that would be knowledge that you would then carry into successive attempts. Versus if you just simply had it go and say tank buster, frontal, dodge, or like just renaming it to like what you are supposed to do, then you would never learn at all. The names would become artifacts of something that you never cared about, never took the time to do, and the way to skip you learning about it would be to install an add-on that would just tell you what to do.
Yeah, I'm going to pass this to Lex because I think she has some thoughts on it. But I just want to say before I do that, that's probably mostly fine in a world where raiding is the only content you do and you only have 9 bosses mechanics to learn. But now learn the names of all the enemies in all of the dungeons, trash and bosses, on top of the raid bosses and enemies, and hope that they're all named in a manner that lets you figure out what means what. But Lex, I think you had some thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I'm not doomering after this. I think it's going to be fine. At least it's going to be fine for me. I am annoyed at Blizzard though after this video, or after this, I guess video, yes, with the conversation. I feel a lot like the Blizzard team has decided that the way that they play the game and they want us to engage with the game is inherently superior. And therefore, like, we have to. Like, we're all going to have more fun if we do it their way, right? I personally am going to gain no joy out of, like, learning the names of the different frontals and stuff. I don't think it's going to be a negative, and I think it might actually be fun for me when we're doing our blind runs. But I don't think I'm going to be like, oh, this is so fun because I get to memorize 10 different names every raid. I have heard, and these are like YouTube comments, these aren't people that I've discussed this with deeply. I have heard people say with like some degree of like processing disorders or even like English as a second language that this is going to be really tough. Needing to parse that all out is going to be really complicated. And I think the thing that is frustrating me about this whole, and I when we finish talking about the entire video, because I know I'm kind of interrupting and giving my thoughts midway through, I have some bigger thoughts that I want to share about this. I feel like the joy of add-ons was that we could all have our own experience. And I think watching this video really made me think, I was the one who was saying, I don't think that realistically Blizzard could have their own add-ons going and DBM and expect that anyone would use it. But like, honestly, I think I would. I think that if, like, I'm fine with a lot of these decisions. I'm fine making things a little bit more complicated and making it so I have to learn what a soak is and what other things are. Like, I think that could be fun, but I don't want other people to be strong-armed into like, well, Ian, sorry, we just humanized him. The devs feel that it's better for us to play this game by memorizing the names. They think that's an important skill thing, so we all have to do it because they've decided that's fun, and you're gonna have fun memorizing the names. That's how we're gonna prove our skill. I don't like that aspect of it. I don't like that I feel like we're all being forced to have fun in a certain way. Because if almost every single player in the team in World of Warcraft raiding turns on an add-on that tells them what's a tank buster, what's a soak, what's a frontal. It kind of seems like most players want that.
Yeah. I mean, you're really just off. It's not going to be fun. There are people who are going to struggle with it, but you're just going to be offloading that work onto the raid leader. So you won't have DBM or bigwigs telling you what's a frontal or a soak, or it'll be the raid leader who has to tell you for all of these mechanics, or your 21st man if you happen to be lucky enough to have one of those. It's not like Ian specifically mentioned in the interview, or Adam said that he did, that he wanted the understanding and recognizing the spell names as being part of the challenge of the fight, and that doesn't sit great with me, but that's what their theory is. You had a rebuttal, Manny, to my comment about it's fine until you include 8 dungeons with trash and bosses along with your 9 bosses in the raid.
Yeah. I mean, that presupposes that the only thing that's going to tell you something about the ability is the name.
I've done the dungeons. It literally is. Like, there's nothing that indicates.
So I've
see
done the
cones.
dungeons too. I'm not talking from ignorance. So when I talk about like the only thing being the name, I don't believe that to be true. I believe that there are, like, even if you want to be pedantic and say the icon, right? The icon. But being more realistic about this conversation, right? Knowing what a caster is, right? Seeing how long a cast bar, the cast is, seeing the cast animation, right? Seeing that I can interrupt it because it does show that it is interruptible, and I'm not saying that the current state of the alpha is perfect or doesn't need work, and I believe every single time Ian has had a conversation about this stuff, or any of the developers have had a conversation about this, they have prefaced, it's not perfect and more work needs to be done and we're looking for a conversation, but the entire fix isn't just the UI, right? If there are other things that can be done, like increasing the cast time length, right? Like making the animation better, like differentiating the names of abilities. That work also helps with this. If you are currently playing Fellowship, and you see all the dungeons there. I don't know of like a bunch of different add-ons in Fellowship that change the names of abilities so that you can so that you have to follow it. From the gameplay that I saw when people were playing through, they were playing it pretty much without any add-ons that I saw. When going from one stream to the next, it looked pretty base. So it seems to me that world can exist and has been done. So Blizzard could learn from that. I'm sure there's definite players and influencers out there that are saying, "Hey, Blizzard, look at it, Fellowship. They could do it without a million add-ons and making it work. I'm just gonna play Fellowship." So if it can exist, like it seems, I don't want to say the same people who are saying you have to have add-ons are the same people who are saying, Blizzard, you're stupid and do it like Fellowship, right? And I don't even want to say that the Venn diagram is even close to a circle, but both realities exist. Right? So you can improve other parts of the game so that we're not relying on add-ons, so that the cast bar, the cast animation, various things in the actual design of the game allow you to not rely so much on modified UI, and that the base UI can also fill in some of that gap. And that's basically what I've been trying to say over the last 3 or 4 weeks that we've been having this conversation, is that I don't want to have to go to a UI or have the UI put up to the level where it does everything for me, right? I've seen Lex play and not have all the different abilities put through and still have fun in dungeons, and maybe she's not pushing as high as other people. And for me as well, because I don't push as high as other people, and I don't have as many customizations to the UI. But like, we just came from a conversation where we're saying like the top players and the top influencers are saying this, and that becomes like the thought of it. But like, I'm not playing the same game as like even my friend Liffy, who is a great raider, great Mythic Plus person, but we have completely different wants and needs for this game. Or like Hawk Corrigan, like literally a person that I talked to about like shaman theory crafting, and he and I have like completely different ideas on like what we think is fun, on like what cooldown should be, and that sort of stuff. And I don't think that the game should be completely solved by the UI. I don't think that every part of the what is coming at me should be utterly quantified before I even see it. Like, there should be some exploration and like attempting, because I didn't know it did that. I think that's why I don't think that things should be saying frontal all the time. Or like, when I do the same 8 dungeons for 3 months straight, because that only gets me halfway, 60% of the way through a season. I think at that point, I don't even need to know the names anymore. I just know the abilities.
Right? Yeah. Plugs I'm in.
So I have 2 things I want to say just really quick. I don't know that I disagree with you on face. I think that a lot of the points you're making, I agree fundamentally. One thing I want to say, I think this is going to hurt lower level players significantly more than upper level players. I think Sean is going to be fine, right? I think he's going to be frustrated. I think he's going to have to relearn, but he's played video games at a really high level, to the point that I think all of this is extremely, like, this is going to kind of feel very takey pretty quickly to him. I think it's going to make Mythic even harder for me, or Mythic Plus even harder for me to do, right? If I don't have something kind of walking me through what next steps are, that's going to make an already really scary and hard to access game mode really difficult. I think entry-level rating is going to be a lot harder. I think LFR, God help us all, right? So that's point. And any the high-level players have even said this, right? Like the Liquid, I think Max said something about like, for us, this is going to be fine. We're not using that feature. This is going to be for the like mid to lower level players. I'm sure he didn't use that word because that was kind of condescending, but I'm the mid to lower level player of this group, so I feel like I can use it. The other thing I do want to say, as someone who has played Final Fantasy, it is true that we don't use mods and add-ons to like tell us what to do. One thing that is true in Final Fantasy that I don't think is as true in World of Warcraft is that it is virtually required that you watch a video before you do a dungeon. Not rating, like to do a dungeon. I have my parents walk me through it because they've done it already, but they always watch a video beforehand because like you can't otherwise. I mean, unless you have a team that's willing to like hold your hand and like explain why you died. But the amount of okay, so also we have people in chat who play Final Fantasy, and so maybe it's that I'm bad. I've tried. I can't do it. It's really like I find it really, really challenging to go through dungeons. I think what's going to happen is that all of this like learning and like information being passed to you is going to be offloaded elsewhere, and it's going to require more work to get into it.
I agree that the work that add-ons would do is going to be offloaded onto the player. I would say that the amount of work that is required should be lessened, right? If you have less casters in a pack, then you don't need as much of the UI alerting you. If you have more time to respond to a interrupt, then you don't need the UI highlighting it as quickly. Like if you have more time to respond to any mechanic, you don't need to rely on the UI as often. And so that's where I would prefer them to put their power into it, because it seems like if I go back to when I was playing back in vanilla, I didn't know this stuff. The add-ons didn't exist, and I got through dungeons because they were designed for people not to have all these things. And when I was playing in Wrath, and everybody remembers like how you could run through Wrath dungeons and just AoE down the stuff, and there was no need for any of this stuff. And I can go through my career and go into like Mista Pandaria where I didn't care, and even up to about, I think Legion was when I was like, okay, you know what? Now I've got this infinitely scaling system. I need these add-ons. But like I remember playing in earlier dungeons and raids, and because it was a difficulty that I was more comfortable with, I could tell that there was going to be an ability because that particular boss or something would have a cue that you would know. It's like when bosses have particular voice lines and you're like, I remember that voice line, and you remember that ability that was going with it, and you might not remember what that ability was called, right? And I think that is that's where I would want the game to go to, rather than every ability being called frontal from Sean, or like tail whip from Lex, or savage backhand, or whatever, to like as an allegory. Like I think that there are different things that obviously we're going to consider fun or not fun, right? The entry level of people playing and how much they're required to know is a pro and con versus the entry level of people playing and how many things they have to go outside the game to go get so that they can play the game. And I think that those things don't exist independently and have to be balanced. And if the in-game stuff does a well enough job, then we're going to have a healthy environment, right? But like, if I need to make sure that I am paying developer X or Quasi every month to get this thing on day one, or I'm not going to have it, or I'm not going to have any ability to even do a +2 key, that's not a reality I want to live in either. And so I don't think I do not think it's this false dichotomy where it has to be one or the other. I think that there is a ground where the add-ons that do the customization and do stuff will help Sean kill the game and have all the fun that he wants to, but it won't be necessary for like a slob like me to do my 12s, and I'll get there slower because I don't have all the UI stuff and the 21st person and somebody who's done the research for me, but I'll still have fun because that's the level of game that I want to play and the level of research that I want to do ahead of time.
Except they're removing the ability for me to do it the way that I enjoy it and just leaving it for you to do it the way you enjoy it. That's the whole premise of the add-on removals. So it doesn't matter. What's important? I look forward to the dungeon revamps when they remove half the casters and the packs that exist in there now. And they make all of the mechanics super visible and easy to see. I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see that happen. Maybe next week's alpha build. Next, though, is no ability timers on nameplates. So I mentioned earlier that we got something that I asked for last week, and this is one of those things. So right now, if you have bigwigs installed, or you can have weak aura packs that do it, you get timers on nameplates that tell you the next time a big attack is coming up from an enemy. Super invaluable in dungeons because it lets you know in a trash pack, hey, I'm going to get a priority kick is coming up in 3 seconds. I have to hold my kick. I can't kick this lesser important cast that's coming. And we suspected that this was going to be something that was going to be removed and not put back in. But Ian flat out said this is not something that they're interested in having in the game. They do not want you to know when major abilities are coming up on trash packs. So that will not be allowed in any form on the nameplates. Now, do I think that is that a bummer? Yeah, it's a bummer. It's good to know when the big attacks are coming up so you can make sure you save a kick for it as opposed to, just always holding kicks or sending a kick when you shouldn't have and now you don't have it. That's fine. You'll have to adapt to that in whatever way. Kicks and stuns and stuff are working a little bit differently now, so it might be fine. But what I was excited about, what I was glad for, last week I said, I just want them to come out and tell us, this thing X that you want or that you can do now, you're not going to get it, so don't focus on it. So now we know we can shift any energy we had towards, are we going to get timers on the nameplates and just remove it completely because they said flat out no. So that was a huge, losing it is an L, but finding out that we are losing it and this is intentionally gone was a huge W, I think. Yeah, for me anyway.
Super fair. I want to complain about something. Are you guys ready for me to be mean and doomery?
Yeah.
I made a mention 2 minutes ago that I had other things that I wanted to complain about that I thought were potentially bigger issues with this. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the fact that Blizzard is not allowing warnings if you are the target of a debuff, if you're a target of a spell. It's not allowing audio cues. They said, Ian explicitly said something along the lines of, we think part of the game is parsing visual information and making decisions based on that visual information. So we don't want sounds telling you what to do. This is not super relevant to me, so I'm getting mad on behalf of communities that I'm not a part of. Fair enough. I don't think you can say that your goal is that accessibility, the game will be equally accessible to people as it was before add-ons, as it is now, and also be unless you're visually impaired, then it's gonna suck, right? We don't think you should be rating. We don't think that's a thing you should be able to do because you need to be parsing visual information. That pissed me off. They are gonna allow some degree of it can tell you ranges. For example, in the dinosaur gorilla boss, it would tell you, they will allow some warnings that tell you some degree of you're within 100 meters of X audibly, but they're not, they won't let you do more than that. It's going to be really rigid what they allow you to do. And I understand the argument they're making is that they feel like people are just kind of allowing sounds to make decisions for them, move, run. So, and to be fair, if they did allow custom audio, it would ruin the whole point of not renaming abilities because you would just change the name to Soak, whatever, or you get an add-on that does it for you. I think I tend to fall on the line. Overall, I would rather people are able, I think I would rather that they figure out how to design around it. If that means that certain people who otherwise would struggle to play can't. And I'm kind of frustrated that they decided that because they like I made fun of them a little bit in the Discord, which you can join by going to bit.ly/FazDiscord. That like saying, oh, people are going into like audio, like they're solving things just by audio instead of like looking, and they're going on audio autopilot would be like it would seem very ridiculous if I said like, yeah, so I actually believe that fights should be plunged in darkness on random timers because I don't want you going on visual audio pilot. I want or visual autopilot. I want you to have to be listening and figuring out where things go. And I will say, I'm going to make a quick little pause that I do understand that my guess. I'm guessing that the like blind community that plays World of Warcraft, I don't think that's huge. So it's possible that they were like, we're gonna. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm mad at them. I think this was silly. And I think I understand the arguments. I think it's a stupid choice. I think it's a choice that removes people who historically had some ability to play from the game. I think especially for people who might struggle with parsing visual input who are not like fully blind. I think this sucks. I think this is a crappy decision. And I think it's a crappy reasoning, and I don't think it's worth it. Again, it doesn't affect me. I'm going to be fine. Frankly, I don't really use sounds much. Like I kind of put all my things on one sound that's like, oh, notice something interesting happened. But I don't like that they're removing that possibility overall, and they're saying there's no possibility they're going to bring it back. That's my take on it.
Audio cues on debuffs is huge. Everybody, not everybody, a majority of people use them. Like you have a dot, you have a debuff that makes a noise. Hey, put an air horn on this so you know you have to send a defensive. You know, when you have the dot, that kind of stuff is stuff you hear a lot in raiding. Not being able to do that, it's going to be a learning curve for a lot of folks because I know a lot of raiders now who struggle to recognize when they have a debuff on them or a mechanic that they have to deal with. You know, they've been marked with something and they have to do something without that audio cue screaming their name or, you know, telling them that, hey, you have this thing. So that'll be a learning curve. Yeah, it's they did say that they're going to allow custom audio sounds for spell casts, which is nice, but that doesn't include a debuff hitting you. So you would know, you could have a custom audio cue that says, hey, he's casting the thing, look at your debuffs, but you can't tell if you have it applied to you. So
did they say a custom
it also emphasizes
audio cue, or did they just say an audio cue?
Sorry, it was just audio. Yeah, the custom, you're right. The custom audio sounds were for the cooldown manager. I extrapolated from that we'd be able to use them on other things as well. You're right. No, they did say you could do custom audio cues. He said for the DBM and bigwigs warnings, custom audio cues, they can have a DBM voice pack.
Okay, then I fully didn't remember. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So they could tell you that the cast is happening. Yeah, it just highlights even more the need for filtering on their current debuff tracking, which is, I mean, it might as well be non-existent. It's just next to your mini map and no filtering on it at all. So I
think they did say that that's something they're working on. That's like on the list of things that they're going to, they're emphasizing. They understand that healers have gotten really the short end of the stick, and they're trying to.
Yeah, not just debuffs on the raid frames, but like your own personal debuffs.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way to filter those and track them for yourself right now. So it's just it needs to be implemented as we enter our last alpha phase, or our last week of alpha. And then the last thing we just sort of buried the lead there was the custom sounds for the cooldown manager will be permitted, which is pretty good. And I think that's a win. We want custom sounds so that people can get the information the way they need to get the information, or the way they prefer to get the information. And the great thing about custom sounds is if you don't want it, just don't use it. Use the base UI as much as you want. You don't have to use the add-ons. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else to add on that. It was a good video. I definitely recommend checking it out. Adam goes into like really good detail on everything. Yeah, Manny, any last thoughts?
I don't know. If you have custom warnings on audio warnings on abilities, and you do it on a per ability basis, what is to stop it from saying spread as the custom warning for this ability, or saying frontal for the custom warning for that ability? And aren't we going right back to where we are?
Yeah, hopefully nothing. Hopefully nothing stops it, because I want it.
But if that's their intention, I don't think that's what they're doing.
I do want to rewatch that part of the video.
If they are trying to lock that out, then I think that the encounter warnings are probably more restricted in the sounds used because that is exactly the sort of remove interpretation, and I don't want to say thought, but removing the interpretation of abilities, that would put us right back to they may as well have just allowed us to rename.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to individually scan each audio file in an add-on. I don't think Blizzard checks the add-ons now. Like, it's up to CurseForge basically to verify an add-on.
Right. Yeah. So my thought would be that the encounter warning in general for the API wouldn't allow those custom audio.
Yeah, I
if it
sorry, I'm trying to
I'm
see if I can
positive
find the video part, and I don't
I'm
think I can.
Yeah, I'm positive he said that you can have a custom audio. He said you can have a custom audio pack like we have for DBM right now, is what he said. So, and he was talking about the encounter warnings. We can go back and check it out after though. But yeah, I see your point. He just has to make the custom audio say frontal, but maybe that's a good workaround. Not required. Everybody else, the visuals are going to be so clear for everyone else they don't need it, but those who prefer it can have it.
It'd be great. I love that. That's what I want. I would like everyone, and I mean, to be fair, I know what I'm describing is a world with free reign of add-ons, but I would like everyone to be able to determine what they need to make this game playable and fun and joyful for them. And I want them to have that. And I want the ability to not do that if I don't want to. And I don't know. That's my take on the Stitchy. Do we want to talk about Prey or do we want to save that?
We should talk about Prey.
Let's talk about Prey.
We did all this testing.
Very excited. Does anyone want to take that specifically, or should I go through it?
Go ahead.
I'll go through it. I'm doing great. I'm doing great hosting. The way you host a podcast, you just make everyone else do the work for you. So Prey, we've talked about this a little bit. We've made little comments about not sure what it looks like, trying to figure out from what they're saying how it's going to go. And now we have it on alpha. So we've actually tested. We have some ability, at least of what they're thinking of it right now. And we have all gotten a chance to play around and see how we feel. So Prey is role agnostic. Anyone can do it. It's not going to be determined based on these are the tank Prey. Every difficulty level, of which there are 3, there's normal, hard, and nightmare, will have 4 hunts per week that they can complete. You can do the same target at different difficulty levels and locations if you encounter it in a new week. You can do any. So the way it's going to work, at least currently, you pick a hunt. That hunt is in a zone. I know in the past we said any activity worldwide, I believe, would give you was part of the hunt. That is not true in current state. It is only the zone where you selected. If you do basically anything, world quests, fighting, rare mobs, I know there's others that I can't think of off the top of my head. But if you fight things in that zone, you get hunt progress. Prey progress. There's also prey specific activities you can do in those locations. And that's going to help your progress, which in current state kind of goes from nothing to you're getting attacked. There are, as I said, 3 difficulties. There's a normal, hard, and nightmare. You do get gear from it now. For your first kill of the week at a certain level, you get 1 gear piece. So you get you get adventurer gear for normal. You get veteran gear for hard. And you get champion gear for nightmare. And you also get dawn crests at the level above. So normal's giving you veteran dawn crests, hard is giving you champion dawn crests, and nightmare's also giving you champion dawn crests. I should learn to read forward before I start giving a pattern. So again, for the progress, there's actually a bunch of stuff you could do. You're going to be fighting off ambushes. I'll give you my thoughts on those later. Don't worry. Putting a pin in that. Prey, there's coalescing anguishes you can fight, which makes sense when you're in the Prey. They walk you through the whole thing. Treasures, there's little traps that they drop because they're hunting you too. And if you disarm that, you can you get increased ability there too. There's little mini games where you can chase them down. And of course, like I said, world quests will do it as well. They are timed. So when you go in, once you enter the zone until you're done, and it's when quest completion, but the quest auto completes. That just, you kill the thing and whoop-a-doo, congratulations. You get a time. Currently, that's just fun information. There's nothing else going on there. So we all tested Prey. We all had a little bit of adventure. What do we think? Manny, I'll start with you.
So it's a good end game activity. I'm going to change my words from end game pillar after last week. End game activity that I enjoyed. I do think that there are a number of problems with it that they need to look at. Like, major one is how gameable the traps are. Again, you can get progress from doing many things, but the traps, one, give you a lot of progress. Two, will auto complete an ambush. If you get an ambush, you can throw that trap at the prey that's ambushed you and immediately get them to run away, which gives you credit. And three, traps are not limited like the other prey specific activities. Like, there's only so much world quests, there's only so many treasures, there's only so many rares. You can collect traps from an area that is a prey specific world quest until you're done. And it has shifted me completing the praise from something like along the 12 minutes to sometimes under 6 minutes, 5 minutes plus. Just run around, grab the traps. Oh, I encountered a rare. I encountered a fight and the ambush happened. Well, get out of here. I've got like 24 traps still in my inventory. But like there's like other things that I'll go into, but it's just to illustrate that it is still working out the kinks. I wish it was role specific. I did this on my healer. I did this as a DPS. I did this as a tank. And right now, it's only fun as a DPS. It is very strange how they will have, like, Senior Tinker, whatever his name is, with, like, 2 interrupt abilities, and healers don't have interrupts anymore. Congratulations, you're gonna get wailed. Or on the opposite end, I went on my Blood DK, and, like, the affixes are, like, supposed to be threatening, and they are threatening as a DPS. But as a tank, I just kind of laugh and go about my business. It's odd.
Yeah.
Is there no alteration for interrupts for healers like they said there was going to be?
They haven't made that change for the guy. I switched to DPS. He does a shrink ray and then he does something else afterwards if you somehow interrupt the shrink ray, because hey, shaman, I've got a 30-second interrupt. It's not enough, friends. How
do healers deal with the thing from beyond that appears and chases you and you interrupt it and it disappears?
Stun totem, root it, run away. It does, like, it's like, because you said thing from beyond, it's actually like Echo of Predation, but thing from beyond is exactly what it's based on. And so any stun will immediately cause it to despawn, but you can also root the thing. So if you're like a druid or a shaman with the earthbind, right, you can do that. Yeah, but like there's lots of options, and then of course you can snare it and try and run away, throw a trap under it, whatever. Yeah, but if that thing hits you, it's heavy damage. As a DPS or healer, if you don't have a defensive up, as a tank, I kind of just bloodstriked my way back and ignored it. Yeah, it's big snooze fest as a tank. It's so one of two things I think should happen. You can do it in groups. So if you are a healer, just find a friend. You can do it in, presumably up to groups of 5.
You can do normal.
Oh, just normal?
Yeah, unless they change something. I didn't try that.
Nightmare.
Nightmare, my understanding is solo only.
The final fight of Nightmare will only be allowed to be done solo.
So it's Nightmare and hard because you get the weird little like the
circle
thing
that goes around.
Dan and I did it on his stream. Yeah, we did a full Nightmare together.
They definitely said it was solo,
sure.
but I didn't try. I've only been testing solo, so I wouldn't have any ability to know where it's at right now.
Yeah, I'll go back and check his VOD or shoot him a DM. I know we did. I think we did it, unless it wasn't Nightmare. Anyway, that's a good thing. I'll find out for sure. So it drops gear, which is not going to be relevant for me outside of the first 2 weeks. Anybody who has access to Mythic Plus or Raid, it's gear that you won't need outside of the first 2 weeks of farm trying to get early champion pieces, which it sounds like you can just get one. But that is all transmog, which is great. So I kind of like that it's easy because I can just farm it for transmog. It either needs to be way more difficult or role specific, like Manny mentioned, difficulties, or like if jack that difficulty way up. If you want it to be like if you want it to be a challenging content, but at 197, Even the debuff that they put on you that stacks up. When I did one on stream, I took a phone call. I went and did the intro quest line as well, and then went and did it. It was like 26 minutes it took me. I think I had like 22 stacks of the bleed or whatever it is, the damaged increase taken. That's what it was, damaged increase taken, 22 stacks. And I still didn't. There was no. It's very, very easy. Very, very. So I assume that tuning can go and they can tune that up so it's more difficult. But I'd really like for it not to be, one-shottable on Nightmare in the first week for anybody who's in questing greens. That would be cool. But if you leave it that way, that's fine. It'll be like a weekly thing that I jump in to get some transmog for until I have all the transmog, and then I'll ignore it. So I was positive on the way that it is because I plan to use it just for transmog farming. But it's not challenging content in its current state, I guess, unless you're a healer. Because they don't have interrupts.
So I had a lot of fun with. I think Prey has a lot of potential. I think it might be tuned differently specifically for alpha. That is my best guess right now. I think it is, and this might be a hot take in this group, I think it is way too fast. When I got into my very first Prey, I did like a little fight while I was doing a world quest to get my Prey up, and I was ambushed. I got the little noise, and all of a sudden there's a thing next to me, and oh my god, and I have to fight two things, and it's crazy, and it's very exciting. And I was like, oh wow, that was a lot of adrenaline. Can't believe that I just got my first ambush. That's so cool. I guess I'll keep going and see what happens next. And I did another world quest, and I got into a little fight, and all of a sudden I got the doom, and I'm ambushed, and there's someone fighting. I'm like, oh wow, 2 in a row. That's wild. I can't believe I got 2 ambushes in a row. I wonder what's gonna happen next. I wonder when my next one's gonna come. And I got into a third fight, and it quickly became clear that you're getting ambushed every fight, which I personally think is sad because it was actually very exciting the first time I got ambushed. And I think if that was genuinely random, that would be really fun, right? And I think right now we were all hitting I was at about 9 minutes. I only did hard. I didn't do Nightmare. I was scared. But I was getting about 9 minutes per fight. It sounds like Manny was somewhere in that range too. I think especially because this is including world quests, it can go for a while because you can kind of go for a bit, right? Especially if, there's 4 per week, if they're spread out between zones, so you can really work at it and grind at it. I think this could be bumped up to a more complicated, more long-term encounter. I do also feel, and to be fair, I only did a couple different fights because I got my map bugged out and I didn't know how to select other things. So I only was able to do like 2 different zones. I didn't really feel like they were playing with mechanics the way that I really think the joy of open world and solo content is that you can make mechanics really fun and interesting. And I was doing the Harndir one, which is really just like baby's first tank and spank, like a couple interrupts, but they're not necessary. And sometimes ads come out. And it just felt very dull. And I felt like this is a place where we can be really creative and have really fun puzzles. And like, how are we going to engage with these mechanics? So I think it needs more. I think it needs to slow down. I think it needs to be more random and more exciting. And I think it's okay for it to be more of like a back, I'm going in the zone anyway. I might as well pick up the Prey. And then by the time I'm done with that, running through that zone, I'll have my Prey done. Versus I'm going to go in, I'm going to grind it out real quick, and then I'm going to be done. But this might be a take that's going to age really poorly when I'm kind of sick of doing things and I don't want to do the stupid freaking world quests again and I'm bored and I want to go. And what do you mean it's going to be like 30 minutes for me to finish the stupid Prey? I just want the stupid Prey. So I might be sick of it after a while. And this might also not be it might be that most people really do just want it to be a grind out thing. And I would think it's fun to have random ambushes, but that's a unique experience to me. And most people think that sounds terrible and bad.
If it's longer than 7 minutes, I'm out. The 30, I do see the joy in, like, if you're somebody who like is actively engaging in world content, you're doing world quests, you're bopping around the zones, you're doing some farming, you know what I mean, mining and herb picking or whatever. I could see you wanting it to be like something that sort of follows you out for a day or two and drags it out, but not for
maybe not 30.
If I'm engaging with this, I want it to be quick. Yeah, like I want to be in and out. like a Band-Aid right off.
I'm somewhere in between. I think that, Lex, you're right. The frequency at which you get ambushed is way too high. It is pretty much a guarantee that the first fight you get into in the zone is gonna be an ambush. So much so that, yeah, I was starting to math out, being like, okay, it's clearly got some internal cooldown so that it doesn't proc immediately right afterwards, but it has a rising chance after you leave combat. Therefore, if I'm out of combat for this long, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get a fight. And I don't like that. It's way, like, this is going to be spoiled, mathed out, theory crafted in days, and it's going to, like, remove a bit of the mystique from this. So I want the ambushes themselves to be just more of a special event. It doesn't need to be that, like, hey, I touched the ground, congratulations, you're getting ambushed. Another one that was really bad was the kill command. It's one that doesn't scale. So if you get hit by a tank, you're laughing. If you're a healer, you can just heal through it and ignore it. But those are the two roles that are going to have the hardest time killing something in that short window before you get the blood debt. That is the penalty for not killing something in that time. Actually, they're not, because it's also coded to not have any exclusions. So you could fight a proper enemy and kill it in time like intended, or you can turn around and one-shot a critter and remove it. And that is stupid. Yeah. Like, it got to the point where I'm just like, I'm just gonna put this critter as my focus target and go about my business.
Man, that needs to be a tweet. You got to tweet that.
Kill it. It's already reported. It's already reported.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
Tweet it so everybody knows. Reporting it means Blizzard knows, but everybody needs to know this.
No, that could be when Ian's like, "Oh, you got that from Fast. There you go. You got it here, folks." We already talked about the Echo and how it is incredibly painful if you don't have the right thing for it, but also the fact that you have to run away from it in an open world actually makes it cool. I kind of wish it couldn't get snared. Like, that would make it like it hard stun, sure. If you hex it, sure, right? But I don't think it should be able to get snared. Like, if you, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing where I both want it to be more dangerous, but like, either way, it's gotta scale with who it's against. Like, a stronger dot if it's against a healer, just more raw damage if you're a tank, so that it has the same level of threat. The stupid blood pools. Wow, guys, you hate melee? Because if you're ranged, you're just blowing them up from afar, and you never have to deal with it. If you're a tank, you don't care because it doesn't do any damage. The general theme of this is that great idea, but you didn't really think about the variance of what can happen.
So one thing that helps with the blood pools, Manny, what you're gonna want to do after you kill something, you're gonna want to hit Fell Rush, and then you're away. So it's fine for melee. Just Fell Rush.
In general, they don't do enough damage in general because you have to, like, literally be standing in it for a good long time, or already be, like, super weak by the time you're sitting in it, even as a DPS. I generally want them to be like bursting. Go ahead, keep the circle, right? Maybe have the dot, like a dot, be put on the player and stack up, right? So that you, like, have to, like, slow down on killing things. That it actually affects range as much as it affects melee. That, like, it could stack up to be threatening if you're a tank and you pull everything and everything dies at the same time. Just something that, like, makes it more interesting. And big thing is, when you're doing your final hunt, like, you've locked down your prey, I would like maybe one or two affixes to get into that prey. Like, as soon as you go into there, all your stacks of the debuff that Sean stacked up to 20 cleared away, right? That to me feels a little weird. Like, I'd like if in the fight it started stacking up maybe a little bit faster to be like, hey, the prey is using this affix against you. But there are certain ones that would suck. Like, if you are the prey specific world quests, currently I've only seen 3. There is the endurance, where you have to run after the target, and you have to pick up these blood things and avoid the pools that they put down, and there are boots that will help you keep up with speed. There is the one where there are a bunch of guardians that are themed after what you're hunting, and then you have to hit 5 different points and destroy things on those points. And then there's one where it's just like a bunch of enemies, and go ahead and kill the enemies so that we can show off the ambush mechanic. I'd like more variety, please, in those. And I'd also think that you have to understand that if I am in a forced movement chasing after this guy that I will not kill, because you cannot kill him or do abilities while you're running around, maybe that's not the time to have kill command say, you have to kill something. Because now you are forced to drop the chase and kill something, whether that's a critter or not, right? Or you're one of the classes that can ignore it anyways, aka tank, and it doesn't matter anyways. Again, it's just, the entire system is such a cool idea, and I enjoy it, and I think it's great. Like, obviously, I've been, like, pulling at these different threads to see how it works, so I've been enjoying diving into it, but it just needs some refinement before it goes live, especially those traps. You should not be able to, like, go to 100% on traps. That you shouldn't be able to take the traps from one to the next, and on the higher difficulties, traps should not auto-complete an ambush. Maybe have them as like a set damage, so that they one-shot normal, because hey, you're on normal, congratulations. They do significant damage on hard, but on nightmare difficulty, that trap is not going to help you as much as you think. You really gotta fight. You gotta use your own abilities.
That is one thing I feel like should be a caveat anytime I talk about solo activity or open world activity. There should be like a big sign above my head. I guess it shows up on your podcast screen where you're listening that says, remember, Lex exclusively plays a highly mobile, like tanky melee DPS. Like I play a class that is uniquely built for solo play. So by the way, if you're thinking, I want to do more solo play, but I feel like it really sucks, what should I play? You play Demon Hunter. It's highly mobile. So you can navigate around things. That's fine. It's tanky enough that you can take a few hits. It's not that the end of the world, but it's not so tanky that it's boring. And it's really good for solo content. So a lot of things that I find fun is because like it's kind of made for me.
I mean, yeah, but like different classes are going to have their different advantages, and your mileage may vary. Somebody who plays Demon Hunter different than you, or maybe plays the Devourer spec may not get the same mileage even on the quote unquote same class. So like I don't think that, again, your opinion is not invalid. It is your opinion and your point of view, and people who often agree with you will understand that. People who often disagree with you, they can add the salt as they see fit. Season to your taste, friends. This is just our perspective. Okay? The last thing I will say about the entire thing is that I love that they have all these different characters with like their own little bit of lore and stuff in them, and I took the time to read through that. I think this is a great way of them to like give like backdoor introductions to new characters, or do cool little callbacks from characters. Like when I saw Senior Inventor, whatever his name is, I was like, oh man, wouldn't that be great if that was like the Mana Storms, right? Or if they wanted to have like, oh, this druid that's going around and killing. Remember that druid way back when who was like, I don't know what kind of druid I am, and I'm incompetent stuff. What if he went bad? And that, like, just cool little callbacks like that, I think would be a wonderful use of this system. And I kind of low-key think that Astor, or whatever his name is, Astor whatever?
Astalor, man, he is one of
Astalor.
the first Blood Knight. He helped create the Blood Knights. Liadrin's the first, but he helped create the Blood Knights. Surely, yeah, I want you to put some respect on that man's name. Astalor.
Yeah, Astalor. It's a very respectable name.
It's his kill command. The Echo
Astalor
Predation is
Bloodsworn.
ours, right? The Torment is him tormenting us. guys, I think we're the lab rat. He's sending us on these hunts and we think we're getting Anguish from those guys. I think he's farming us, the hero, for Anguish. And that would be so cool if they like capitalize on that story.
One of the folks in chat, it might have been Neek, suggested that he might be the season 3 delve nemesis, Astralor Bloodsworn, as he delves back into blood magic, which the blood elves are supposed to be moving away from. But I don't think it'll be him. I think it will be one of his creations will be the season 3 nemesis. I don't think they're going to turn him. He's too well known and respected a character in the Sindor High heritage.
That's true. They'd never take an elf and make them like deeply evil. And then let you like fight.
From being ignoring a bunch of hunts. Okay, I do want to say, Lex, you had a problem with seeing other hunts because when you like click in on a hunt and it zooms in, you can't zoom back out. I'm pretty sure they're going to fix it on the next build. So I've heard that from sources. But in case they don't,
you reload.
Much like any of these other things that we're hoping will come in on the next one. Just reload your UI and you'll get back.
I learned that after I did the Hare and Deer one like 3 times. And then I did one more and I was like, okay, I want to go to bed.
There you go. So you heard it from Lex, just reload your UI.
Of note, this week's alpha build is late.
I have half a mind that there will be no available alpha build to play and that we're just going to go straight into beta. Down for them to do changes.
Then the information they gave the add-on devs last week was wrong because they told them that it was an alpha build coming this week, and then they reiterated it yesterday.
Could be data mineable, but not like something that goes.
Did they say there's a phase 6?
It's all API changes, isn't it?
I thought they did confirm to somebody that there was a phase 6. That they'd added on
the add-on devs. They told them there would be a phase 6, and the expected launch date was today. Yeah, no patch notes or anything though. There wasn't one on the roadmap, so Manny could be correct. That maybe there isn't actually one coming public, and they were just waiting for the beta. That would be really weird. That's a whole week of testing that they would lose out on.
If they needed to, like, I don't know, take the build. Well, they can always work on a build while one build is live. They can work on the future build, so there's no reason to have it down for a week. No,
they're usually a build or 2 ahead, aren't they? Is that a rumor? Is that true? That
why would you be 2 builds ahead? When you commit a build, why would you then say, okay, we can't, we're not going to put that live for people to test. We're going to leave them with the old build, and we're going to work on some other build that we haven't committed but haven't put live.
Okay. All right. Maybe it's a myth. I don't know. I don't develop video games for a living, so I don't know.
I have launched software and putting a commit and not putting it live is a very odd choice unless it's like a launch.
Yeah.
Believe you, Manny. You sound very confident and intelligent.
Yeah. He sold me.
And I'll repeat these talking points to somebody and they'll be like,
entitlement and encouragement. Yeah.
He said it with all the confidence of a mediocre man on the internet, so I believed him.
One man on the internet.
Well, I know, but he said it with the confidence of.
Right. Oh, that's fair. The confidence of, because he is, like, clearly we all know he's not a mediocre man on the internet.
All right. The name of this episode is Mediocre Man. Do you want to wrap us up, Lex?
Hold on, before you wrap us up. If you are still listening at this point, we are giving away 3 copies of the Midnight Epic Edition. 1 on Twitter. You go and retweet it and follow us and like the tweet. You get entered there. 1 on Instagram. You go and I don't know what they call it on Instagram. Repost it and like it and follow us on Instagram. And the 3rd one on our YouTube channel, which is linked in the description here to this video directly. These are cross-region, so any region. They're NA or EU. I don't know if they're actually any region. I know they're definitely those 2 regions.
Definitely not China.
Okay, so what about Korea, Taiwan?
I think so.
We're not sure. Definitely NA and EU. But to enter on YouTube, so 3 chances. To enter on YouTube, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or follow it, the free one, whatever the free version is on YouTube. I think it's subscribe, and leave a comment, like the video, and leave a comment on the video that says Faz Gift. And I got to be honest, if you want to win the Epic Edition, that's probably going to be the smallest pool of people. Your chances will be best. So head on over to our YouTube channel. We'll make sure the link to this video is in the description of this podcast, wherever you're listening to it. And we're doing the draw for all 3 of these on November 10th. So you will get beta access the day before beta goes live. we'll probably get together and record a draw maybe, and then drop it as a video in our Discord, bit.ly/flash Discord. We haven't worked with the logistics of that yet, but November 10th is the draw date. And we're going to post, I'll make a post in the Discord tomorrow once this is posted with links to all 3 ways to get entered. And thank you to Blizzard for providing us with these codes. We really appreciate it. I think I'm supposed to say, I don't know. We have to write WoW Partner on the tweets, but I don't think we have to say WoW Partner. It just seems weird to say. Anyway, we're WoW Partners. So thank you very much, Blizzard, for these codes. Okay, now you can end the show.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Go have fun. Go, hopefully, good luck with the Epic Edition. And until next time, may all your hits be crit.